So welcome to Sunday Night Live. And for those of you that are meeting us for the first time, she's Cheryl.
He's Ken.
And tonight we're going to talk about our upcoming trip to New England and Canada. It's kind of an interesting trip, so we'll share with you. We've been doing a lot of planning on this trip, so we'll share that information with you.
We talked about it before, but we've added a week to it.
Yeah, and changed up our ports quite a bit, so we get to see a lot more of Canada than we would have on just the one direction. Of course, we go from traveling in steerage on the way up.
It's not. We're in Britannia class on the way up, and we're
down in the hold,
and Princess Suite on the way back.
Princess Girl Suite on the way back. Yeah, so that'll be a good contrast. Anyway, so for those of you that are new, let me know where you're watching from. Please put it in the comments. We always love to see where our audience is. And we have some that are already here. So we have Rhonda Wilson's in Lakeside, California. We have Rhonda Jacobs is with us.
Hello,
so far.
2 Rhondas. Hello,
yeah.
Rhondas. Great.
Nice to have you guys with us. So let's get started. Let's see. Again, if you have questions, this is a live show for a reason. It gives you a chance to ask questions. So if you have questions, go ahead and put them and you have comments. Put them in the chat, and that way we'll be able to follow up.
If you tell us if the sound or the lights or something go off or the computer goes off, that might help too.
Yeah, if you have any problems. Okay, so we have Ground Force Garden is from Ontario, and we got Pam, another regular here.
And
we're going to have a question for you. Yeah, we're going to have a question for Pam a little later, and Rhonda is from Moscow.
I know, nice.
Yeah. Okay, so very nice to have everybody here today. So we'll get started. Let me find the banners. So we're going to start with our itinerary. And let's see, is it better? That's probably as good as it is.
Scroll it down. Yeah. Scroll down here.
Let's do this.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So we're doing the equivalent of this 14-night cruise. We bought it as 2 separate cruises. And if you'll notice that in the steerage, it's only $1,689 round trip.
Britannia class. Inside starts at $1,689 for the whole 2 weeks. Yeah. This is actually a very good price. Cunard is, although they're not, I don't know that they consider themselves a luxury cruise, but their competition is the very upper luxury hotels in Europe. They're more like that, but on a ship. Yeah. And so that's a very good rate for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Anyway, so we start in New York, which is where we're going to sail out of. And who knows what my rule is about traveling for a cruise? Does anybody know? Let's see if anybody can put it in their comments there. Why is it up?
I don't know why that's up. I guess you'll just have to go up there and look for it. You can't get to it. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, sound and video are good. Thank you, Rhonda.
Okay. So the number one rule for a cruise, in fact, I posted a really sad article in the Facebook group. Well, insurance is actually number 2, but we're talking about travel the day before.
Yeah, there we go. Rhonda's got it.
You do not fly in. So we're flying in the day before. We get into, we're going to fly into JFK. At least the day prior. Yeah, because we've come close to missing cruises.
Yes.
And, those poor folks, $60,000 worth of cruise is a lot to put down the toilet. But so we're flying up the day before, and we get in pretty late. We get in like 10:30 at night into Kennedy. So we're just going to stay at a hotel right there by Kennedy, and then the next morning we'll get a shuttle, or not a shuttle really, but I should say a private car service, because New York private car services are not as expensive sometimes as a taxi would be, and I guess they compete very well with. Oh, we have some new folks here, Anita and Mark Peterson from Utah. Hi.
Hello. Oh yeah, Pam. Yeah, that was amazing that NCL didn't want to pay them back for missing the ship, but they had the opportunity to buy insurance, and we know it's only usually about $125 a person. So, that's a lot less than 60,000 for losing your trip.
Yeah. And again, if they'd flown in a day early, they'd have been fine. But anyway, so we're going to take a car service over to the port in Brooklyn. I think it was going to be $75 because we had to get a minivan because we're going to travel with 4 suitcases, which for us is a tremendous number of suitcases. Normally we're 2 and 2 backpacks, but since we have to have dress clothes
for 2 weeks. Well, yeah.
But anyway, since we have to have dress clothes for a couple of weeks, we're going to have a lot of luggage. And Cheryl is taking her Zeen. We could have, if we'd only been going on the 1 week out of Quebec City, we could have taken the Will. But this way, we'll be able to go ashore even in the ports they tender. So we're gonna check this out and see how it works. We got some interesting things planned. We leave New York, and day 2 we're at sea. Day 3 we're going to be in Halifax. And Pam, is that Halifax where you are?
Let's see. Yeah, it's hard to see the comments on the screen today. Oh,
yeah. Always travel with a passport too, Pam.
Oh, let's see. What is this?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We always get there way early. The farther you're going, the earlier you get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a passport, yes. Yes, definitely.
Okay, so it sounds like Halifax is Pam's spot. Now, I thought it was. So in Halifax, we're planning on kind of just doing some local sightseeing. Wasn't planning on a tour. We'll get, in fact, Pam, if you got some good suggestions, there is, and I put a question out on Twitter. I'll share with you, and then at the end of the show, I'll share the answers. But Halifax has basically 3 connections with Cunard cruise lines. And so I'll let you guys think about that and worry about it while we're talking. And at the end of the show, we'll talk about it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Pam, we wouldn't go anywhere without a passport, because what happens is if you travel without a passport, if you have a passport card or you're traveling on a birth certificate and a driver's license, and you have to fly home from somewhere outside the United States, you can't fly home until you get a passport. You cannot fly with those items. I don't know why anybody, would do that, but that's what they do. Anyway, I rail about that. So yeah, Pam, you'll have to think about it. One's obvious. Actually, 2 are pretty obvious. The third is maybe not quite so obvious. 2 of them have to do with the Titanic. In fact, I'll share that. 2 had to do with the Titanic issue there. So we'll talk about that. Anyway, so we're going to we're going to see that there's a Titanic museum. There's a maritime museum. There's quite a bit of stuff to see and do in Halifax. So that's our plan, is to kind of just tour around Halifax. I believe there's I think the Citadel is up at the top of the hill. So we'll probably get somebody to give us a ride up the hill, a taxi or something, or find a bus. I think there's a hop-on, hop-off bus that would take us up there. And then we'll just walk down from the Citadel down back toward the port.
But you don't discuss that ship on any other ship.
Yeah.
You don't discuss the Titanic. What happened to it when you're on another ship?
Yeah, we don't even talk. Yeah, we don't even talk about Titanic on ship, but we're not on a ship. We're on the ground.
Some people think that's bad luck, so it's better not to mention it.
Yeah. Okay, so then from Halifax, we have a sea day, and we'll start our journey up the St. Lawrence Seaway. And the first place we stop is Sept-Iles, and I think that's close to the pronunciation, but it means 7 islands. And we will start there. And this is the one place we could not really find anything that we think is going to work. It's very late in the season for there, and the big thing, there's an old trading post there, and it shuts down at the end of September. We're going to be there in October, so it looks like that will be closed. So we'll probably just get off and walk around in town.
I'm not sure what this comment is. No pushing up to a citadel. Maybe not down
Yeah.
either. Yeah, I won't have my scooter, so it might be a little harder.
Yeah.
Might have to get rides.
I'll just turn loose her brakes and point her downhill and see how well she does. Hope somebody down there's got a net, little catcher before she goes into the bay.
Okay. All right. Our next stop's going to be Saguenay, Canada. And we do have something we want to show about that, right? I don't know which one
right there.
That one.
So in Saguenay, it seems like the thing to do there is take water-based tours. Saguenay, in fact, no, that's Boston. I guess I don't have Saguenay up anymore. But Saguenay is it's up by the Saguenay River, actually out of the St. Lawrence Seaway. It looks like we dock there, and then there's some tours. Part of that we'll have to see is whether or not there you go. So if we're docked in Saguenay, which is up here, then we will probably have gone by all of the things that tour goes to see. So there may not be any reason to do that. We may just get off and walk around in the village of Saguenay. There's actually like 3 villages that something La Baie, the Saguenay, and there was one other that they basically combined in and call it Saguenay. Anyway, so we're going to go up there and see. This should be really, really beautiful. We're looking forward to that. And then we get to Quebec City, and this is probably one of the coolest things about how this cruise worked out. Go back to our itinerary.
Where is it?
Right there.
This one. Oh, 14 nights. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we have days 7, 8, and 9 of this trip are in Quebec City. So we get in the morning, we spend that night, we get off, technically we get off the ship on the 8th, and then technically we get back on the ship on the 8th, and we'll probably go see one of the things that's there, and I don't have a slide, I don't have it up for where we can see it, but there's Montmorency Falls, and there's a bus that goes out, and in Quebec City the buses are accessible, so we'll be able to just use public transportation, and we're looking forward to it. We'll see how the Zeen does on cobblestones. That'll be maybe the iffiest part of this, but the rest of it we should be able to have, like I said, almost 3 full days to sightsee in Quebec City. And
well, no, it leaves on the 7th. We're not getting there a day earlier.
Yeah, we have the day of the 5th, the 6th, and we don't leave till late in the evening on the 7th or afternoon.
Parts are 3 days.
Yeah, well, okay. Parts of 3 days. But when we get there on the 5th, we get in. It's at early morning, so
okay. Yeah,
it'll be pretty cool. So we're gonna try to do as much as we can in Quebec City, and it'll give me a chance to film quite a bit. So there's some things that we want to film. We'll do the film using the bus, and as much as we can find to film, we will film for you guys. And then coming back, we have a sea day, and then we stop at Sydney. And Sydney is there.
That's
nope.
Boston.
Try that one. Nope.
No.
Go to the right.
Okay. Can't see here very well.
That's Saguenay.
Must be this one.
Yeah.
Sydney.
Yeah. So they have a company called Sydney and Cape Breton Taxi Tours that they do like a variety of tours in Sydney. There are some other places outside, and depending on what the dollars involved are and how much our time is, you can go out. There's this miners museum that looked pretty cool. There is this Baddock and Bell Museum. That's where they did the first. That's where they did the first wireless or first.
Alexander Graham Bell.
Yeah, the first wired connection to the Europe, and so there's a museum there, and then there's this Fortress of Louisbourg. It's the different direction, so we may do that instead too. And then there's another. This was a Scottish place, but there was there's a big bay thing that's really. I don't know if it's on that.
I don't know. There's a lot of different tours there, evidently.
Yeah, there's a lot to see and do, but none of them are close in, and a lot of them are opposite directions. There's a lot of things, but I suspect that we might do the Citadel, and we might do the the town tour. It's what I think. But again, I sent them an email today to ask them what was best for traveling for people with, that travel with limited mobility.
Sorry.
Try to avoid as much of the walk as we can. But Sydney looks like it's pretty cool. So it'll be interesting to go there and do some sightseeing. Then we have another sea day, and then we get back to Boston. And we have a pretty long day. It looks like it says arrives early morning, departs early evening in Boston. And I'm sorry.
Here we go. Yeah, we have not been getting a comments. Sorry, the comments for some reason are shut off on our other screen here. Okay, so then we have yep, it'd be hard to leave the ship, hard to get back on. And then the Zeen has we can take breaks. Yeah. And it has breaks. Yeah, we'll be fine. Okay, let's see. And Pam says, I will tell you, I know one of your answers.
Yeah, go ahead and give us your answer, Pam.
Give us an answer, Pam. We'll scroll down here while you do that. So we get on the ship in Quebec for 14 days.
Oh, very cool.
Oh, exciting. Wonderful.
Yeah.
We want to do a crossing maybe next year or the year after.
Yeah. But that has to be really cool. We're actually, it's funny because we're in Princess Grill on the Quebec to New York City piece of it.
Oh, Fortress is worth a visit. Well, that's good. We got to vote for the Fortress.
All right.
Let's see. Pam says her province has a Cape Breton, but she's only been there once.
Oh, perfect.
We'll figure it out. We'll find something to do. Oh, Nova Scotia is beautiful. Yes, I have heard so much about Nova Scotia. I'm really looking forward to going there.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So yes, Cunard, and I forget the name of the ship, was one of the first to the Titanic. So that's very true. But there's still 2 more connections.
What do you mean first to Titanic?
He was the first one to reach where the Titanic sank. And they brought like 600 survivors to Halifax.
Oh, okay. All
so
right.
that was one of the connections.
Okay.
Very good.
She says you can tell her the rest of them.
Yeah. So in Boston, we found out there's a pretty cool thing in Boston because in Boston, they have what they call the Freedom Trail. In Boston, for those of you that remember history, it was the home to a lot of the events of the Revolution. That's kind of where everything started. Paul Revere's house is there. There he is.
I think it's on this one. That's not the right tour. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so in fact, all of these locations are part of what they call the Freedom Trail, and they go basically through all of Boston. They have the ships' recreations, or maybe the original ships restored over there in that right there, up here where they had the tea party. Yeah. And you can actually, one of the ships is accessible, so there's a ramp to get up to or a lift, one or the other, to get up to the upper deck, so you can get up there and see. And they do like a reenactment every once in a while.
And our ship is going to dock over here.
Yeah.
So we'll probably take a ride over to here, and then we might also later get a ride from this side, find a ferry or something to get over there if we have time and energy. So.
But one of the things, the whole trail from one end to the other is only 2.5 miles. So it's not that, this stuff's not that far apart. One of the things that cool is the Park Service, if you're coming there, has you download their app, and on the app they have an audio tour, plus they have like a little GPS navigation thing so that you can go from one place to the other and hear about it. And it's all free with the National Park Service. So for those of you that are visiting Boston, especially if you haven't been, you want to explore and you don't want to spend a lot of money, this is really within fairly easy walking distance once you get ashore. It's about 2 miles from the terminal into town, and then another 2.5 if you walk all of the Freedom Trail. There's a lot of it that's clumped really close together. You can see the Boston Commons is in there, the church where Paul Revere, I think it was the Old North Church where Paul Revere is, where they hung the lights, and Paul Revere did his ride, and the Commons was where they had a garrison. They had some battles there. There's a lot of, one of the other things that happens there it's kind of associated with the Freedom Trail, but a different generation is the Underground Railroad for slaves wound up bringing them to Boston because Massachusetts was an abolitionist state. There was no slavery. So if they could get them to Boston, they were free and nobody could bother them. So there's a lot of that history there as well. So we're going to wander around and see how much of it we can see until my legs give out and Cheryl's got the all the wheels on the Zeen smoking, and we're looking forward to it though. And then back to New York City. And one of the things when we get back to New York City, we will. We're just getting off the ship, but we're not staying to do any sightseeing. We've been to New York City a couple of times. I want to come back and spend some time, but 14 days on the road, it'll be time to be back home. So we're going to get off the ship and head for the head for home and go just straight from the ship to the airport. We're flying out of JFK, and like I said, JFK is the closest airport. It looks like anyway from the map and from connection time to the Brooklyn cruise port where the Queen Mary II will dock. I have made the mistake and called her the Queen Elizabeth earlier in a post, and I stirred up a lot of controversy on the Cunard boards on. Oh, and I want to show you one other thing. I want to show you because a lot of what I found. Go over here, Cheryl.
Also, we need to answer that question.
We're going to answer the question, but the question comes up at the last. Oh, you clicked on. So let me just, if you've used Cruise Critic, just put a yes or no in the comments. Let me know if you've used it. But Cruise Critic, is one of my go-to sites for being able to find information. So like if you scroll down just a little bit here, this is the Canada, New England, what they call a board. So this is where people that go post. And so there's all kinds of these topics. So for example, the Sydney, Nova Scotia port, if you want to know what there is to do, you can go on there and see. Sydney and Cape Breton taxi tours, that's where I got connected with it. Quebec City, a bunch of things to do there. And so what it does is it gives you a really good way to find information about, yes, lots of fall pictures, Pam, but there will be, lots of interesting things to do and see. And like I said, the nice thing is this is a much more relaxing cruise because we have 5 ports in 14 days.
So we have a yes and a no. So someone knows the Cruise Critic website.
Okay. So yeah, and it's free. You can just join it. Now they are travel agents, so you'd cruelly hurt my feelings if you started booking your travel with them. But whatever. I would say this it's really interesting. We have some of our a group or a family that's in the Traveling with a Chair Facebook group, and they're doing the Fairbanks to Calgary itinerary. She posted yesterday they were at Hubbard Glacier, so they're probably they were probably in Skagway today, but headed down. They'll have a couple of days in Vancouver, and then they'll have I think they're having a couple of days in Banff, and then a day or so they'll be in Calgary.
Okay, back to the subject at hand. There was 2 more points about Halifax that you have to answer.
I have to answer that, do I? Okay, so the first one should have been the easiest because Samuel Cunard was born in Halifax. And then the third piece of it, the third relationship, kind of ties maybe more directly to the Titanic. But the Titanic was a White Star Line cruise ship. And when she sank, they were competitors to Cunard. And about the turn of the century, Cunard bought them. And for a while it was Cunard White Star. And then they finally got all the shareholders to stock from the White Star shareholders. And then at that point in time, it became just straight up Cunard Cruise Lines. So just interesting trivia.
Yes. And Pam says, yes, Alaska is beautiful and Banff is beautiful. Banff is very beautiful for sure.
Yeah.
We loved it.
What did she say there? I can't see.
Let's see. Oh, I don't know. It's not, I can't see it for some
Move
reason.
your thing. Oh.
I don't know what it is.
Oh, okay.
I should know the name, but I've been out of school.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, we were kind of worried about their train ride because for about 2 days, the post up there, another kind for about 2 days, Rocky Mountaineer thought they were not going to be able to stop in Kamloops, and they were scrambling trying to figure out what to do because the whoever runs the province of British Columbia had basically commandeered all of the hotel space in Kamloops to use for people who were having to evacuate. And then I guess the rain and the things that happened right after that he commandeered these spaces freed, the fire risk went way down, and so they should be on schedule for their trip. I was pretty worried about because this family's from Australia, so they came all the way out to Australia to do this, and it would be a real disappointment if they couldn't get on the Rocky Mountaineer. But that looks like it's fixed, so we're real happy about that.
I think that's it for our show today. I have one more comment. I want to say what's that comment? Oh yeah. Oh, the fires. Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll get some more rain. They did get some rain, which helped a lot, and hopefully they'll get a lot more rain.
Yeah, and I don't know how things are on the East Coast up there, but I'm hoping that the smoke will be blowing the other direction. It can blow over Chicago or somewhere else if there is still smoke. It's been a bad year for fires. I mean, bad year for a lot of things. Anyway, yep. Thanks for being here. Hopefully you guys got some benefit out of it. There will be no show next week because we're out of town. We're leaving on Wednesday and we won't get back till Sunday night late. So there won't be a show next week. The week after, there will be a show. And then I have a couple of potential guests for some upcoming shows. One is from Norway and another one is a family that travels with disabilities. And we're looking. Oh, Pam says she's getting all the rain. We got good rain today. We've been really dry.
Yeah. We've had a really, really dry season. Usually we're in the rainy season already, and it's not too rainy.
Yeah. But anyway, so everybody, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. It's nice to have everybody with us as usual. We appreciate so much you being here. If you know somebody else that would benefit from it, the links that you use to get here will also go for the recordings, so you can share them with anybody you want. And if you haven't done so, do me a favor, smash the like key, because that gives Facebook and YouTube's attention a little bit. And we'll see everybody.
Thank you for joining.
Thanks, Travis, for being with us.